Like the plot line of a good book, the party poker big game keeps you turning the pages, searching for the next twist and turn. And like that good book, it delivers the unexpected. Welcome to Vienna and the Montesino for the Party Poker Big Game. We are now past the halfway mark in this 48-hour game, which not only attracts the best players in the world, it also throws in a few interesting twists and turns, including player evictions. And so far, the mix has produced a fascinating story.
There are few certainties in the story of the big game, but one that is emerging at an ever-increasing rate is the untouchable presence of Phil Laak at the top of the leaderboard. From the word go, he's kept a safe distance between himself and the rest of the field. The last few hours just confirmed a familiar plot line. The one player who looked like he could mount a challenge to Laak suffered at the hands of his fellow players as they cast their votes for Ignat Liviu to lead. The big game still likes to throw the odd, cruel twist at its cast of players. In a sense, this game has been about the chasing pack and a fascinating battle between some of the biggest names in poker. Laak, as always, found a way to survive and maintain his advantage over the rest of the field. The real battles were elsewhere, being fought by the likes of Mizzi, who was slowly edging towards a profit, Chartier looking for a way through, and Sexton looking at surviving, as his position became critical with each hour.
We got Toby Lewis in the booth with us. Thanks for joining us. Just flew into beautiful Vienna a couple of days ago. How are things with you, Toby?
I had 2 bullets at the tournament, and I'm not in it anymore. So.
Ouch. All right, bad question. Next.
Makes me feel better about myself. Just a little bit.
But you know, onwards and upwards. What's the feel for this game at the moment then? Who's taking the lead?
So far, we got Phil Laak crushing the game to the tune of over 100K. Just doing a lot of crazy stuff, pure Phil Laak style. Good reads, good timing. Sam Trickett's been the only one playing with Laak since the very beginning, one of the originals. He's got a lot of swings. I think he's up a little bit now, right, Dominic?
Yeah, well, he's been in the game forever, and it's only up 7K, which is not a lot in this game, but.
Right. Quick bet and call by Jonathan Duhamel. Tony G with top pair here.
This is going to be interesting to see what Duhamel does on the turn. See, this is a very good.
Yeah, that's a good barrel card right there.
And he has 6 of diamonds, so it's not just totally shooting blanks.
Right. And of course, Tony's dealing with a really wide range there, not necessarily just.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually not going to get Tony to fold on with this hand, but I like his bet.
Smallish.
Yeah,
bet,
I think he should go a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
really,
I agree.
If he was going to put some pressure on. But Tony's not much of a folder, is he?
Oh, it's actually 3,600.
Tony has actually been playing pretty tight. Like, he made some really sick folds. So.
I still can't wrap my head around.
Oh wow, he folded there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, he plays pretty solid, actually.
He's playing quite snug.
I don't know, how to pair. It's pretty good at pair.
Got a pair, 1 pair?
Yeah. It's pretty good at that game, isn't it?
Not bad. You seem to be confident when you bet him on the turn.
I was. It was a good pair.
Good pair?
No, a good pair.
Where Duhamel is good there, he will fire the last barrel if it comes off
Maybe
with
yes,
a good
maybe
card,
no.
even if he doesn't make a flush on the river,
Right.
and it comes an
A
ace
jack,
on the river or a
ace,
queen.
yeah, any face card.
He's going to really put the pressure on again, so I guess that's good from Tony. Either to just fold the turn or call on turn and river.
Yeah, I mean, if you just call, you're just going to be in so many tough spots on the river, though. So I actually do like his fold there. It's pretty tough to play someone like John Duhamel, who's really aggressive out of position. Jonathan Duhamel, here he has.
He only needs one card. He's that good.
He has a 7.
He is a world champion after all.
He also has a jack of the same suit, so there you go.
That looks pretty. 7 jack of spades for Jonathan Duhamel, Tony G.
Tony G obviously never folding the 4-5 of clubs.
Sorel's going to squeeze.
Good squeeze
here
play here, yeah. Definitely
lines.
good squeeze
Yeah.
spot.
Really good squeeze spot, really good hand to do it with.
Fold.
That hand's pretty obvious. He's gotten pretty big here.
You have 2 orange?
How deep is Tony? 41. All right, so
Sorel's only got 20 though, so.
Thanks.
Sorel's got 20. You know, he's not. He's probably not gonna get flatted by either.
No, Tony's in the small blind, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's going to fold. He might come along if Duhamel comes along.
Would be a pretty bad call by Tony, though, just to overcall here.
Yeah, he will though.
He
I know he will.
yeah.
I was just gonna say it would be pretty bad, but we all know he's gonna do it.
So
I saw that coming.
Yeah, me too.
this is what I don't really understand about Tony sometimes. Like, he folds the 10 on that last board, and
but
now
then
now he wants to peel out of position with 5-4 suited when like he can't really win the pot.
Yeah.
Unless he,
And Jonathan Duhamel obviously calling here to keep the fish in, which in that case is Tony G. He's just trying to get Tony to put more money
still,
in.
do you like Duhamel's call there?
I think it's fine, yeah.
yeah, I think.
With Tony behind, it's fine. Other than that,
It's
no.
bad. Yeah, if you just know, like, it's pretty obvious that Tony's gonna call behind, it's probably profitable.
Also, Tony's almost never gonna back raise in that spot, which makes it an even better call. Because like he just knows Tony's gonna call.
so,
And again,
so this is going to be interesting
Wait, what?
to see how Sorel
Yep.
proceeds down the streets.
he's got good equity in this spot, and there's a lot of cards that like that card.
Yeah, so he
should-
definitely, if he checks back this turn, I'd be very surprised.
It is a 14K pot. He's only got 16 behind. I mean, a shove, does that make any sense?
A shove will win this pot, I'm sure, but I don't really like that.
Right. So
I
check
think yeah, he maybe could bet like 4.5. What do you think, Dom?
Toby's spot on here. Just go for like a bet of 4.5.
10,100.
Okay, and he
That just
actually
looks-
goes to the bet that commits himself to the pot.
That just looks super strong. It's like like when a lot of people just bet like a lot of money and they obviously commit themselves. They're pretty strong.
Yeah, let's just hope that Tony knows how much Sorel's got behind.
Tony's just in a really tough spot here, which is also why he should have folded the flop and pre-flop.
Yeah, he's sort of butchered this hand on every street, really.
Yep.
Even though he still has the best hand at the moment.
Now that's just how it goes sometimes.
gotta have heart.
Well, that's
How-
why you don't play these sorts of hands out of position.
He has a big
without
hand.
having the
You got a big
initiative.
heart.
I can't really. What is he really thinking of just shoving here? I mean,
Like,
it's like very best case for him that Sorel has exactly this hand.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so weird given the fact
And in
that
any other
he
cases-
has been playing so snug so far. Yeah, he lays it down.
Took him a long time. It was 2 streets too late, but he finally made a good fold.
For Sorel Mizzi, it's been a long, slow fight back to profit, but at last he's made it. What next for Mizzi in the big game 6?
Sorel's back in the black.
Yes.
So a little recap, Toby, about what Sorel's been doing. He came in this morning, bought in for 10K, played really tight, then topped up, stepped up the gas pedal, made it to 45,000 almost, got evicted because he was playing very well and running just as well.
Okay.
Came in the booth, saw Ignat do a bunch of fancy plays and taking down all the pots, got back in there, and 7-bet shove, 38K with the 7-10 against Ignat's kings. So then busted, rebought for 10, topped up, and now he's back in the black. So a little bit of up and down by Sorel, but
Okay.
500 you bet? Wow. Okay, we're in action.
I like it if
Yeah.
Sorel squeezes the button again. Like,
Yeah, me too. I was just gonna say this looks like a really good spot to squeeze, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did it. 'Cause, like,
He's been doing it quite a lot now, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe people would start playing back at him. Just
he has a pretty good hand to do it
game
with, though.
flow. Yeah.
He's in position.
yeah. Well, let's hope for a low flop here then.
Yeah, it's
A
gonna
little
be
bit of action.
Ace jack of
How many players? 4?
Ah,
Yep, there you go.
Here we
Oh,
go.
this is gonna be really interesting.
There
Tony
you
flops
go.
a full house.
Against Mizzi with the trips.
This is what Tony does.
I see, like, everyone's just gonna think he's crazy and gonna do something stupid now, while really
I'm the worst.
he always just tries to flop the nuts with a lot of hands, and when he has it, he just, you know, he acts like a madman, and then he just gets paid. That's just his game, and he's,
So Duhamel stabbed as the original raiser, and Tony called.
yeah.
And now I'm sure Sorel's going to raise the button again here.
Yeah, it's a really good spot to raise, because it kind of looks like he's just taking a step here.
5,200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also he's going to lose all his money here to Tony unless
Oh,
Tony
yeah.
flats, and I don't know. He's got to do something really bad for them not to get stacks in.
So here, if you're a Tony, you make it 12, Dobby, something like that.
I just don't make
Let's
it.
have a look at the stacks. 25k. I think I would probably call here.
Yeah, calling
still.
is. I was just gonna say when you said he shouldn't fly, I was like, calling is way better here, because, I mean, if you just
But
bet,
doesn't it look so strong?
But I also think that sometimes now this turn is going to go check, call too often, where I think Tony should actually just go check raise all in.
Right.
like, everything you do looks really strong in that spot. It's like,
But this card actually might not be the best to do that. Sorel doesn't have much ace high hands on the flop, I don't think, because a lot of those hands were 3-bet pre-flop.
And if you're Sorel, you're never slowing down, ever.
I don't really see a need to. It's pretty cold from how the hands have been dealt. 7,800.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's only got 17 behind now.
Right.
If I'd be surprised. Like,
Should be a shove now.
It should be a shove, but
Because, I mean,
I don't. I'm not sure whether he's going to.
7,800. And then 23 goes all in.
yeah,
this is
of
good.
course.
there's
It-
not much else he could have done there. It's just the hand just kind of plays itself at this point, and
Sorel is drawing dead here.
Yeah, this is unlucky from Sorel, and he has no outs.
Yep.
Well, he has a 7 for a chop. Actually.
He's got a 7 chop.
You call that ace?
And
felt
that's it,
safe.
unlucky. Sorel Mizzi felted here by Tony G, who now sits on a very healthy 70k stack.
We could have done it last hand. The way it won my hand, I won a side bet from Mike.
Let's see if Sorel exits or reloads.
30,075.
He looks like he's paying the massage girl, so it feels like a quit.
It feels like a quit, yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, I think he had enough.
I'm making it
He
400.
played really good the first session,
doing it. He
and
loves it.
then
He's cleaning up
just
as well.
that one
He's
hand
showing
with a
everyone his
7-10
style.
was a little.
Adventurous.
Yeah, I might have cost you money. Let's look at it. What is that?
400 Eastern.
Okay, I'm raising the price. So what do I have to make it?
800.
800.
That's all I can bet now, right? That's enough.
Sorry.
Mike Sexton here.
So Mike tried to race to 6, I think, and then
Paying attention.
I'm
Yeah,
calling.
well,
But
then
the $1 million
now he has to
arm, I guess,
mid-raise.
thinking
he's
about
gone to 8 now.
I guess everyone's a player.
Tony
event.
calls out
That's the
position.
event.
It's
Of
possible.
course he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just setting everyone up for a really good squeeze play, though. And there's JP Kelly.
Oh no, JP just calls,
JP just calls, yeah.
and Laak calls too with King Deuce off. I mean,
What do you think of JP's flat there with the King Queen?
he's out of position, and I think
I would actually prefer squeezing there against most players, especially against those two.
I like it more with king queen suited, but
Yeah,
We've got
you know,
25 players and 12
you
can't always get what you
can't be
want.
too picky. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like both. Yeah, cool. And
especially Tony, who's just like so likely to call again, even out of position. You just extract the maximum out of him.
so Mike's gonna take a stab with what he hopes is the best hand.
700.
Well, and it is the best hand.
Pretty sure they pay 20%.
Yeah, these are the spots though where JP might get adventurous and come for a check raise. Sort of like the one that, where we
Yeah, the one
saw
we've already seen, yeah.
with Phil Lacken himself.
He's really good at picking those spots, you know. I've seen
Yeah.
like, a lot of mediocre players just call, you know, like they wouldn't never think of check raising the king queen. They would just give up.
Well, he's got a good hand to do it with as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
and
but
he knows Sexton's very sort of mechanical. Like he's not going to get too adventurous with JP, so he's bottled it in this instance. But
Why not? Like, you got the bankroll, it's good for you.
Oh.
36.75.
Laak's going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is going to work, I think, but
76.75.
So I think I know your deal.
36.75.
36.75.
and I think Mike can smell a rat here, but I'm not sure if he's got what
I
it
don't
takes
think,
to.
I don't think he'll pull the trigger here. He'll just fold and, you know.
Well, he is in a hard spot with 2-7s.
Oh, he sure is, but
Yeah, and he folds. And Laak and JP were both on the same wavelength, but
I would like it better if, you know, JP. Yeah, if JP did it, because he.
yeah, well, I mean, JP definitely was thinking about it. You could see on his facial expression when he eventually folded. He,
Well, nice play by Phil Laak. You know,
yeah, it's good. I mean, that's why he's a big winner in this game so far.
What I also like about that play was he made a really small check raise, which, you know, there's no need for him to raise big, as Mike Sexton's kind of shallow already, with the blinds being that high and everything. So
Yeah, I don't really think the size matters too much. I think
No, that's-
I agree with you that
that's why you should go
the
small.
smaller is fine.
So well done, Phil.
Call 600.
He's getting frisky. That is disgusting.
Raise 3,200. Don't fold. Sorry.
Trickett putting on a pretty big squeeze here with the queen 10 off.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, this.
I mean, he's not. I think Tony will call a lot still, to be honest, and
Yeah, but
Duhamel as well.
That's why I like doing it with queen 10, because Tony just calls so much that
I'm quite surprised that Duhamel. He's only 30k deep, I guess. Still kind of feel like that's enough to just set mine maybe with fours.
it's a really tough spot there because he knows.
And he should realise that Tony's probably not going to fold very often at all. So
Tony's going to call a lot, and
so he can set mine knowing that he's going to get.
yeah, it's going to get really good odds.
Yeah. I mean, Sam's going to be in a little bit of trouble here, but
4,000. Call.
And no surprise here. Trickett obviously bets.
no.
And like Tony
I think it
obviously
probably
calls.
might get interesting on turns and rivers.
Yeah, Tony here turns 2 pair.
And so either Sam will check fold and shut down, or he'll go for two big streets, which will not work.
not at all, no.
7,300.
But that's just like one of these spots where Tony has, you know, I don't think Tony's going to fold anything better than what Trickett has here a lot.
I mean,
Like maybe if he has like king queen or something.
I don't think there is a river that Trickett can win this on. A queen,
Queen.
obviously.
Just give me a
is
queen,
the ceiling
yeah.
hand.
I always get in on the big ones.
Yeah,
Oh, that is not really a big one. It's just
no. Well, I kind of feel like when Tony calls here, Sam might go big on the river as well. So
He is giving it a lot of pause. Maybe.
Tony's.
Raise.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well,
28,000.
that's a big mistake. From
Do you
Tony.
think
Yeah, that
there's
raise
any
is
value in this raise? I don't. It just falls out the worst hands, right?
it sure does.
Like his sizing here is not great for me.
He's pretty deep too. I mean, what happens if Sam shoves 60k in there?
Didn't have anything.
Well, Tony's not going to fold with
Tony's
aces
gonna
out.
call.
Obviously, but
But-
I'm saying he's never good. And we're back to the biggest winners leaderboard here. Phil Laak, of course, always the big winner. Ignat Liviu left the game, 50K up. Tony G is in with a vengeance, 40K up right there. JP Stable, 33K, again, very precise. And here, the biggest loser, Daniel Jungleman Cates. He left this morning. Nothing seemed to go his way, but he is for sure going to be back. Catalin, I think we've seen all of it. Same for Sorel. He played really good. Just one big misstep. You know, probably he's done for the day.
The game's too big now for you. The game's too big. The game's moved on. We've increased the stakes. Where's my manager? Warren. He's on the phone. Get these pretenders out of here. What is this? It's not a circus here. You don't come with 5. Look at the. We're playing. There's 1,000 in the middle every hand here. We don't want shonks coming in playing with no money. If you want to be like a nobody, you come with money. You come and produce.
I feel like squeezed the small blind and Sexton has a pair of queens. And this shows how unbalanced Sexton is, because he shoved with the ace king and now he's just re-raising with the queens. So.
Putting in more than a third of his stack here with the queens. Just.
What is this?
So these are the like classic signs that you look out for when you're playing against weaker opponents.
Come on, Mikey!
Kind of surprised he only has queens here, right?
Yeah, I mean they're going to run it twice, so we're looking at a chop a lot of the time. But
Okay. Okay, 2 boards. 5.
2 boards?
Yeah.
Okay.
2
complete boards.
Predictions here.
Laak once, Sexton once.
The pan doesn't play, boys.
Dominic.
We're excited.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
All right, then we're all,
wait, you know that's boring.
we're all boring. I was gonna go without you, but
I want Mike to win. Mike's gonna win
of
both
course,
times.
Mike's gonna ship it twice.
Get him, Mike.
Mike's gonna ship him twice.
Who's got the ace king, Mike?
I do.
Panda's on the table.
Oh, the pandas are back.
You're behind here.
Correct.
And then Laak takes the lead in this one.
How easy was that for Laak?
It didn't feel hard.
I mean, when you're that much ahead already, he didn't want the second one.
Oh,
because
that's a
He didn't
terrible.
know.
he's got
what
less
that
outs
was,
now.
All the aces.
But you know the ace is coming.
That's a terrible card.
Window
Don't
card.
shuffle the cards either.
Yeah.
Burn. He does a burn.
Oh, and as we see in the graph, actually, there's 2 aces less in the deck and 2 kings. Samuel Chartier has folded the ace-3. Jonathan Duhamel folded the ace-deuce, which just makes it more likely that Phil hits the last ace. Of course, I know. I'm good like that. I'm good like that. I thought it was gonna come in the window since.
Is that why you've won so many tournaments or something?
I mean, better being lucky than good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's still all queens left in the deck.
Come on, Queen of Hearts!
Queen.
Oh, that's just.
And it was paint as well.
That's just brutal.
If there has been one man who has been rewarded for his timing, his skill, and his luck, then it's that man, Phil Laak. For Mike Sexton, it's time to reload and replot his path to riches. Welcome back to Vienna. Rarely has this magnificent city witnessed an event like this. The world's finest poker players head-to-head in a 48-hour cash game. And from it all, one man has emerged to take the big game to a new level. Phil Laak remains the man to topple in the Montesino. Sorel, the latest addition to the table and the next in line to face the challenge of Laak.
Oh, okay, I see.
He buys him for 5K, which is very, very shallow.
So maybe he's having a little spin up there.
Right.
Running it twice, where I could lose twice.
This is 200 now.
And they're calling a rebuy.
For Mike Sexton.
He's gone with the Sorel thinking. He just wants to have a spin up and make his decisions easy.
Sorel's gone for the real spin. He only has 5K.
Right.
Well, 4,300 now.
Blinds are really high here.
Some of us should go in there with a 5K bullet.
Yeah, should we all group together?
Oh, yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
that's
I would do that right now.
Nice.
I can't be the one right now, but
You know, this is
let's all do that.
Yeah, I know. Fold.
They would all hate us for doing that too.
So the 400's
It's
on
actually
again.
good for the game, though, Dominic, I think. I mean, in a way, it's this kind of loose cannon effect.
It's kind of bad for the action because like they just all gonna have to play so much tighter just because of you. But they know you can just rip it in.
Exactly.
Duhamel on the small blind, pumps it up with the ace queen offsuit.
1600. Fold. 16 total.
Take it.
And now he's like, 16, that's half my stack.
And it's made twice a year.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
man.
Come on,
There we go.
sir.
We don't know what he has, but
Someone should
And
teach.
There
Here
you
it is,
go.
clarifies.
There you go. 5 on the window one time.
Come on then. They're going to run it once.
How many times do you want? One. Just one? Okay.
Of course. I mean, you got one bullet.
No,
Let's see what cards are there.
you'll get it.
Come on, sir.
Come on.
It's hard to beat Duhamel in a flip, though.
Oh. I mean,
Sixes are all alive as well.
yeah.
Take that.
It's not looking pretty. Still, he's got the lead.
He's still got the lead,
yeah.
He's just gonna rebuy if he just.
I knew it too. I get sick like that. It's got to be the 6.
That's not funny.
That's how you win world
Come on,
championships.
put a
everyone.
6 or a 7
That's
down.
how you win world championships.
6 or a 7?
Or a 5. I mean,
It's a 6 or a 7?
Oh,
damn it.
rebuy, come on.
One more bullet.
you
5.
can do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do you need to bring the money from the closet?
Yeah, no.
Warren, bring him some chips.
Chips. 4 sheet 1.
We'll give you credit, don't worry. You're good for it. Whatever you want, you can have.
Thank you, sir.
So he's bought in for another 5, as we can see over here.
Are you like an online marketing?
He's going for another spin up, I guess.
Another 5K bullet.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll put
Yeah, I
it
like
out,
that.
Give it back to him later. Got 5 behind.
Okay.
I mean, as we said before,
I'll
you're
give
gonna
you
have
the
so
5.
much of an
No
advantage
one
just by
minds,
like being
right?
the short stack, you know.
I'll give you the 5, and then
I don't really like that when Tony tries
you can pay
to
me back.
I agree.
needle him a little bit there, but I wouldn't want to make him feel uncomfortable.
Right, because then you feel like, yeah.
You know, well, that's what Tony does.
Yeah.
Raise.
I don't know. I'm not.
1,400.
Shouldn't really be
Games
surprised.
Right now, really,
Fold,
it's
fold.
there. You know, we're in a
Good
zone
for the
now.
game.
What is he gonna buy in for, you guys think?
I think 10 at this point, especially after the needle.
Laak's got pocket 9s in the first seat.
A bind out of the Laak.
Tony G, calling as always.
Probably the 5K is better than the 10K, actually. If you don't buy deep, at that point, you do want to have maximum
Yeah, I kind of
equity.
feel like the 10K is middle of the range.
Right.
You're gonna have to fold too many hands.
It's going to be kind of
whereas-
ugly. Versus the 5K, you're just going to have a little fun with it. And if you do double up
Yeah.
once or twice.
5K, you can just stick in the middle pre-flop and just.
Right.
So JP came along from the straddle with ace-8 offsuit here as well. And Phil Laak's flops top set.
2,000.
Ah, interesting.
Wow.
Tony leads out with his gutter.
Oh, he's got second
No, he's
pair.
getting the second pair, not a gutter.
Oh, second pair, sorry, yeah.
7,000.
why?
Raise 7,000.
You like the raise here by Laak?
Not particularly.
Not
on
at
this
all.
board,
It's
like-
such a dry board, right? I mean,
Like, what can Tony have? Like,
exactly.
He just has to assume that Tony has like ace-3 or ace-5, I guess. This sort of thing is where Tony gets into trouble leading that position with bad hands, and now he's made the call.
Right.
So obviously
No.
we were right and Laak was we were wrong and Laak was right.
Of course.
That's why he's 150k up.
Obviously.
I
I mean, there is.
I'd really like it if Laak checked back the turn, but he's not going to.
It would be really nice. I mean,
17.
maybe he's
17,
leveling
wow.
Tony a little bit and think, oh wow, 17. Why? I'm
That
not
is
getting
big.
this. I think he knows something that we don't. It
Well,
feels like the other spot that Tony G had with the 5s versus Sorel versus the ace-jack, I mean. But it's just not enough of a hand. And if he's got a set, they're going to go on the middle anyway, right? So
I mean, it is hard to flop a set.
it is.
It's really hard to flop. So
It is.
Like you can go a
It's
long
really
time without
hard.
flopping a set. Maybe he's forgotten how hard it is to flop a set.
If you're running well, you can do it.
And we are confirmed that Sorel has a top up right here.
Whatever I need, I just get it. Ace king, I hit it. Ace king, but it doesn't matter. I don't even have to play right. If feels like I can do anything. It's weird.
Raise 1200.
You put so much out, 17,000 on the just like that.
Plus
Did you have that?
all in.
Oh, and he's found a pair.
Did
Fold.
you have a pick? Just tell me yes or no.
I thought I had it.
Oh. Uh-oh.
4875. 4,875.
Thought I had to beat.
Good news is there's no more jacks in the deck and still 10 out, so we can
So I
kind of
think
sweat it.
JP is probably going to raise here again to get
Raise
Get the pot heads
get it
up.
isolated. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. He's
8,000.
just not gonna call there.
Okay.
Is it a click? Yeah, make it 8K just in case.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
I know how
sick.
you feel, believe me.
Oh, and
Nah, it was a pleasure. That's it. Two bullets.
so
Misplayed that hand every. What's that? I misplayed that hand every Okay. time today. Well, 80% are gonna play it correctly now.
You kinda
Yes,
get the
back
feeling-
doors.
you kind of get the feeling it's not going to come. now.
Yeah, I know. I feel you, Toby. Chop outs.
Chop out.
5 for the chop. We're really rooting for a 10 here, but not feeling it in the booth. Nope.
And there it is.
It's been an honor.
Unlucky, Sar.
It's been an honor.
It's been an honor.
For the
and a
10 hands you
pleasure.
played with us.
And that's why you don't go for the spin up.
Quick. In and out.
Sar, that was pretty quick.
It was.
Not a very good day at the races for you, was it?
No, it wasn't. No.
How do you think you played overall?
Oh, well, I just played 4 hands, but basically, I thought I was going into a 25-50 game. But by now, they've gone to triple straddle and ante, and so I basically changed to play short stack, hopefully get a real stack that I could play my game. I went in one race 5 versus ace queen and lost, and another one 10s when I was pretty sure I was ahead, but unfortunately on my left, the other guy had jacks, and that was it.
Yeah, I think that's a good one for me to try another day. Maybe I'll play the bad too.
Straddle 200.
Oh, and Sexton's found the.
Who needs ace king when you have pocket kings the next hand, right? Go on, Mike.
I'm really rooting for a big one for Mike right now.
Fold.
I mean, everyone just knows he's so
600.
tight, he's just not gonna win a big one.
Or not.
And Trickett just knows. He knows that he can't get 10s in.
Yeah.
Even with AK.
And Chartier is going to come along with ace jack suited as well, so I kind of feel like Mike's not going to get a good flop for some reason. And he might dust off the rest.
Well,
That's
just not a bad flop.
Well, I mean, if Chartier leads, then it's hard not to go all in.
You think he's gonna lead here?
Check.
I prefer leading in his spot, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, especially as Mike isn't really a big.
He's not that.
He probably
deep,
doesn't have
so,
a very high c-bet percentage, Mike.
Exactly,
either,
yeah.
Now he's getting Trickett in the
Sound
mix.
calls.
and-
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't check raise now.
It just worked out perfectly for Sam here that it goes bet call, so he gets extra money in. But this is like the best case that they have exactly those hands.
Yeah, I mean,
Raise.
this is good from Chartier,
4,000.
obviously, very standard.
Yeah, the check raise is just
And Mike ships it.
All in.
Hold up, Mike!
all in.
Hold up, Mike!
See what happens.
How fast did Trickett fold there?
Yeah, it's true. Sam just knows.
Pardon? You pick enough round. Doesn't really matter to me.
He's going to pick twice.
He is gonna pick twice.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
Showdown or what? No, showdown. Okay.
Mike doesn't care. Boom. Now you just know he's gonna win both.
Yeah.
I know, all aces are still alive.
I'm not smart enough
That's
to go
why.
in. Go ahead.
All his outs are so live, it's just gonna brick. I'm really rooting.
Yeah, there it is.
I tried, Mike. It's not working.
He has one out. Nope.
That's it. Chop.
Chop, chop.
I think Mike really wanted to run it once this time. He had a feeling there.
Very big hand.
Jack diamonds. Split.
All right, so it seems like the legend, Mike Sexton, is leaving the game. He's had enough. Unlucky in a couple of spots, but always a pleasure to watch him play. Always a gentleman, shaking everybody's hand. And hopefully we'll have him in the booth soon.
All right. JP, good to see you.
Mike, how come you decided to come away from the table?
Well, I'm getting a little bit tired, and things weren't running so well for me. And, you know, it just didn't look like it was my day, so rather than let them bust me, I came away with some money. So.
You kept your integrity about you. I'll take the money and run.
So, yeah, but I enjoyed myself. It might not look like it because, you know, nothing went my way, it didn't seem like. But in truth, playing against these great players, it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly and just wish I'd have ran a little bit better.
Well, it is a very tough table, but it's something you do hear a lot from poker players. Sometimes it's like you say, it's just not your day.
That's it. And, you know, c'est la vie, as they say, but it's part of life. If you play poker, you're going to have good days and bad days. This just wasn't a good day for me, but I'll be back.
Welcome to the Austrian capital, which is playing host to the Party Poker Big Game 6. After over 25 hours of straight play, Sam Trickett has decided to call time on the big game and heads to the rail 32K lighter. In his place comes Brit Andy Moseley, and Alec Torelli makes his return to the table.
Glutton for punishment, you're going back in.
Yeah, I got fortunate to get a seat. And actually, I'm pretty happy about it because I slept for 4 or 5 hours, so it's good to be semi-fresh at least, and when everyone's playing a long time, so.
Now, what was the reason that you left originally?
I got voted off. Why else? I'm so sad. Yeah, they didn't love me. They voted me off, so, but yeah, I got back in 5 hours later. I actually think this is better. I mean, I only took 6 hours off, and so.
So you feel more refreshed?
Yeah, to get sleep in that time, it's pretty ideal. I mean, it's hard to play for 48 straight, so if I could play for 30 of the 48 and sleep in between, walked around, saw some of Vienna, so it's nice.
I'm really excited. This game just got a whole lot better. It's been a little slow for the past couple of hours, but now we've got some fresh blood in here, and Andy Moseley and Alec Torelli. Alec played last night, played great. The players ended up voting him off the table because he was playing a little bit too good, and we have British cash game sensation Andy Moseley joining us, who is definitely going to be good for the action. This guy is all over the world, playing the biggest games in London and Macau, crushing everything. He's just going to be a lot of action and a lot of fun.
Sensation is certainly the right word when it comes to Moseley. He's just one of those guys who just, well, he didn't come out of nowhere, but sort of has been toiling in ignominy for a while, just beating all the biggest games. And some people have said that he's just one of those guys who's running really well, holding cards, and, you know, first hand, sure.
No way, no way. I played with this guy before. He's, as Phil Laak just put it, a wizard.
2,500.
I agree with you. I've seen him play a couple times. He's brilliant. He's fearless.
And he just wakes up with kings on the very first hand he sits down after Sam Chartier has a pretty respectable ace-queen, and Sam knows a little bit about Andy. Doesn't want to be pushed around on the first hand, so I think he's thinking a lot of things right now. He knows Andy's a big game player. He knows he thinks of Sam as probably a pretty nitty tournament player right now, and Sam probably doesn't want to get pushed around here, so this might be an interesting pot.
It's really kind of a cooler. I mean, especially when you think of the dynamics, sort of the metagame dynamics of the first hand.
Right.
You know, if you're Samuel Chartier, you're coming in just after the break, you're thinking you're a little bit nervous about this guy because you've heard about him, and then you're not surprised that he tries to push you around the first hand. As it turns out, he's got the kings. Probably the fact that this is not a queen-high flop.
Right, he's very lucky he didn't pair his queen here. But I mean, I talked to Sam Chartier at the break. He never played with Andy before. Knows these two guys know nothing about each other. But Sam definitely knows his Andy's reputation.
4,300.
He's got a reputation for several things. Moseley, obviously, just so cool, so calm, so fearless, such a big winner, and one of those guys that you just now think will be in this game the next 24 hours. You know, coming in fresh, he's a guy who just loves the action and is able to play long hours.
Definitely. He's definitely, I think, here for the long haul. He came into Vienna last night, got some rest, and has been watching the feed all day long, which is a huge advantage. And he's ready to go to war.
You could just see on his face that this is a guy, a young man who takes the game very seriously.
13,000.
And he's locked in here. Tony G's probably gotten a little too far here with the 2 threes, and now he's obviously just trying to convince himself, Scott, that he can beat all bluffs. Wow, look at Tony's just looking daggers at Moseley, trying to put him on the stew pot, and Andy's like, you know, I got kings, man. I mean,
no problem. It's a really easy game when you just step into it like that.
He did sit down with 30,000 euros, so one hand, 10,000 euros. You know, the internet wizards who come up with hourly rates will recognize that this is a pretty good one.
Yeah, his hourly rate, he's definitely doing about $1 million an hour at this one.
At this stage, about $1 million an hour. So yeah, the game has changed. Sam Trickett has decided to take a break after 24 hours straight and played great, played hard, got involved in the sickness that is tons and tons of big pots as these stakes went up. And at this stage, Scott, we're down to one player from the original starting lineup, and that's Phil Laak, who is still on his first buy-in.
And Phil's going to do another 22 hours till the end of this cash game too. He said no problem. He said at the break, he just told us, he said if this were a 4-day cash game, I'd be here, no problem. So no signs for him slowing down.
Just sort of a confirmation of the stakes. You know, this is supposed to be, this started out as a 25-50 game. Right now, the blinds are 25-50, 100, 200.
The club. The baby club.
The one that would hurt.
So the raise from Duhamel.
The red 3 would have hurt.
On the button. Tony G's called in the small blind. Phil Laak from the first straddle position. And then Chartier from the second straddle.
Is that what I had to get? 3 threes?
Club fingers.
And, you know, obviously the talk from where I saw everyone I'm talking to, everyone who comes out of the game, everyone who asks about the game, the talk is all about Phil Laak. Even now, he seems to be a man of mystery. People say, you know, is he lucky? Is he underrated? What's he doing? Why is he crushing? How is he still playing good after 24 hours?
Right, and that's, at least people are talking about him, but people always question a lot of things about him. He seems to have a ton of energy, no signs of slowing down, and he's going to always try to level his opponents. He knows he needs to change up what he's doing. He knows that Andy's been at home watching what he's been doing, so he's definitely going to try to level either his opponents or himself.
Tony G's hit 2 pair on the river, and Phil Laak's obviously made the nuts. So this is really just going to be a question of how big do you want to go.
I expect Laak to bomb it here, which means make a very big bet, because he's done that in a few spots already in this game, bombed it with air on the river and was able to bluff it away, and these guys have seen that. So I expect him to bomb it here with the nuts and hope to get called. Yep, that's a pretty big raise, 15,000 into a very small pot. The pot only had 6,000. Before Tony's bet, it only had about 2,000 in it.
Everyone knows that Phil Laak has made moves like this on the river with a bluff.
After a round?
But Tony manages to get away from it, and that's a good fold by Tony G. Still on his original 20,000 euro buy-in, Phil Laak ahead something like over 160,000 euros. What you're talking about here is a guy who is on his way to set the big game record over the course of 6 seasons. New player coming into seat 2. This is Dominykas Karmazinas, and I do believe he's from Greece.
That's a good guess. You can already tell the dynamic of the game is just so different than it was before dinner an hour or two ago. These guys were playing about four-handed, sheepish. There was no action. Get a couple of new guys in here, and everybody's, you know, who hasn't played with guys like Andy before or didn't play last night with Alec, feeling these new guys out and not really sure what they're about and just kind of heard about them, could make for a lot of action tonight.
Tony G is going to have I mean, just seeing it already. Obviously, Moseley is going to be on top of him, is going to be having position on him.
You're killing me here.
There is going to be this thing where Tony's just going to be trying to beat Moseley in a pot. I need to beat Moseley in a pot. I need to beat Moseley in a pot.
He's picked another bad spot to do it in. Tony does flop bottom pair with his pair of threes, but Andy has top pair.
Raise.
And for me, this is non-standard.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Most people here with a weak jack in that board will just call and kind of let their opponents maybe bluff or not really sure that their jack is good at that point. But Andy he's going to build a pot here, thinks his jack, even though it's not a very good kicker, is likely to be good here, which it is. And he makes a raise here, which is more, well, that's a really good card for Andy. If he didn't have the best hand before, he certainly does now.
I wonder if he was going to check back the turn. I likely think not. I mean, I think when Moseley's raising there, it's almost like he's saying that Tony's so steamed, he knows Tony wants to beat him pot so bad that he's almost willing to kind of just go with it.
No, yeah, Andy's so, he can easily get 3 streets of value out of just a top pair hand because he's so in tune to
7,000
where Tony is in this hand right now. Probably puts Tony on like a 4 or a straight draw.
Right, and by raising the flop, you know, in Tony's mind, he might have polarized his range to kind of draws and things like that, and maybe some air. Tony may be calling.
Well, then that's a bad card then if Tony was putting him on a straight draw because the ace-5 got there and the 5-6 got there.
All in.
And this is how good Andy is. He makes, even though straights and flushes get out there, but he loves his top 2 and just bombs it. And hopes he can represent something like a misdraw and get like a weak call from Tony. But Tony just doesn't have enough there to make the call.
Moseley pounding Tony G. He's had the best hand every time, and Tony G is a guy who just tries and tries. He'll just keep banging his head on the walls. You see Moseley's up 25,000 already.
Moseley has doubled his stack, and he hasn't been all in like...
I was so impressed with the way he thinks about, obviously, you know he's very smart about poker because of his results, but when he was talking about what was going on in the big game and his thoughts on certain hands, except for the absolute brain squiggle he had against Phil Laak in that big pot, he's so smart about poker.
You're always chasing me with these frees.
Point out Sam Chartier just final tabled the Irish Open last week.
Oh,
I was there
right?
myself. He was. Yeah, he finished in 6th or 7th place. Went into that final table pretty short, but he played well, picked his spots. Couldn't really get anything going, but he never had that many chips at the final table.
Better. I'm just,
well, I've seen Andy Black here in Vienna. I know he final tabled that as well, so a bunch of people came over. But those who have played the Irish Open before, it's not an easy tournament to final table. You have to go through a lot.
I actually flew over here with Sam just a couple of days ago directly from Dublin.
And is he in good form in a sense? Is he?
Yeah, I mean, he came into that table short. In fact, I think he was the shortest, if not the second shortest stack. So he finished in like 6th or so, and after it was hard for him to make anything happen.
So this pot opened by Torelli and 3-bet by Duhamel, and you know I know Duhamel's ahead, but it's really the same hand, isn't it? So it's really going to be a question of who takes the lead here for you.
And John has the lead right now, but There's a lot of flops where they both miss, and anyone who bets will take it down. This is, however, not one of them.
It's not the same hand at all.
This is a flop where they can get all of their money in right now. Top 2 versus top pair in a nut flush draw. They both have absolute monster hands. Duhamel happens to be way ahead here only because Alex, both ace and 6 is no good here. That's pretty unlucky, and he's only drawing to the flush.
Yeah, well, in a sense, Torelli's unlucky because in no way can he believe that he's a 2-to-1 underdog in this pot. But
this could be a really big pot depending on what Torelli does here, whether he decides to call here or if he decides to raise. That'll dictate what could be the biggest pot we've had so far.
And just think this through with me if you're Torelli. If you do raise there, you know, do you never get action except from a bigger ace, perhaps? So is that why he's chosen to call, or is he just being deceptive?
Then you also build a pot for when you hit your 10 of spades in the turn there.
Wow.
But I mean, it's really lucky for Duhamel that Torelli decided to just flat, and John will put Torelli on a lot of flush draws here. He could potentially check this back here, and then reevaluate in the river depending on what Alec does. I hope that John can check back here and then call Torelli's bet on the river, because it puts him in a bad spot if he bets here and then Torelli check raises him.
Yeah, but I mean, really, Torelli's range is a lot more than flush
right.
draws.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
he has
like
aces. He has aces here all the time, like ace jacks and ace queens. Also ace 10s, or flushes. But his range is usually going to be a big ace here or now a made flush.
Being that Torelli has the ace of spades, you know, he must be thinking that Duhamel
is bluffing.
Right. I mean, what has he got?
Right.
What does he value betting
here? So that's why we might see a call. A call
and a check on the river as well.
Definitely possible. Yep.
He has gone for the call. This pot's really big, and
I wonder if Alec checks it again, if John is going to bet for value. If it's a non-spade, I think John will bet for value. He probably puts Alec on a hand like ace-jack or ace-queen with maybe a spade along with it at this point.
Check.
I think John is going to put in another bet here. There's no reason for John to think that he doesn't have the best hand.
And this is why Torelli's checking. Torelli's checking because in his mind, Duhamel has to be bluffing such a high percentage.
He's not checking because he thinks John has aces up here. He's checking because he thinks John has nothing and needs to bluff to win it.
Call. You'll go to lover.
And John is going to bet for value, and he's going to be very surprised when he's check raised here.
Well, Duhamel's only got just over a pot. You know, he's got 26 back, Duhamel. Torelli's got more.
Yeah, so if John makes any sizable bet here, he's committing his stack.
Right, he almost...
And Torelli's definitely going to move all in.
I think that's about 14 or 15. I mean, it looks like...
Yeah, John basically bet half of his stack. And now Alec moves all in, and this would be really tough for John to get away from here, because he's just committed so much. Yeah, he just doesn't even think about it and calls.
They'll have to count these down, but it looks like Duhamel has been broken in this pot by Alec Torelli. What a cooler. I mean, what a complete and utter cooler. Duhamel knows it.
I think the only way he could have prevented that is if he checked back one of the streets. He could have checked back the turn and then just called on the river. But it was really Alec played the hand really sneaky, and I totally understand why John would think his aces up are good there.
Blind squirrel finds a nut.
You switch those two hands, you switch the two positions, you switch the players, the money goes in.
Well, the money
way.
easily could have gone in on the flop, but because it was just a bet and a call, both players are going to take a different line on it.
So the 2010 world champion of poker has just been felted by Alec Torelli, and Torelli's effective stack has to make Phil Laak think the game is on again here. Alec Torelli picking up where he left off, and a former world champion heads for the door. That's been the story for the last couple of hours. Trickett and Sexton among those leaving with mixed fortunes. New faces emerging among them Andrew Moseley, and players returning for a second crack at this game. Both Tony G and Alec Torelli enjoying their second coming. Over halfway, but still plenty of play left. in the Party Poker Big Game 6.